What's going on, everybody? This is Phil Jones, Mike Jones. Have you guys know me personally, professionally? And today we're going to react to a video that I stumbled upon on TikTok earlier today. Now, it's been floating around for a while, but I finally got a chance to actually get the original video that somebody didn't already previously react to. And I want to go ahead and feed it to you guys and give you guys a piece of it and see what your thoughts were on it. It's pertaining to relationships have been big content all over the internet. I don't claim to be some sort of guru or somebody who just knows all the right and wrong answers to relationships, but I think I know a thing or two, or can at least provide somewhat of a perspective on a thing or two when it comes down to how men and women are interacting with each other in modern day. One thing I definitely think that is undervalued is the fact that the economy, how money is made, how it's distributed, education, various other factors play a huge role in the reason why the way that men and women see this shift in dynamic and this desire to have something that is somewhat traditional when that tradition is no longer really valid unless you're amongst the high earners of society. There's factors. Again, I don't want to get too deep off into the nonsense. Let's just go ahead and roll the video. This we're going to be reacting to a content creator by the name of Trip Fontaine. He was speaking on the tonight's conversation, which to my knowledge he is no longer a part of. But the clip I found to be extremely influential as far as like getting people to think. Although he was talking to a young woman, I do believe that some of the things that were being said in this clip are very much universal. I learned a thing or two about my way of seeing things, and I think that many people could if they can actually separate it to hear what he's saying and not take offense to what he's saying or the way that he's bringing it to you. So, without holding you guys up, let's get to that video. All right, so I'm going to start from here and I'm going to play it. Feel free to let me know if you feel like I'm breaking too much in between videos. I love the feedback, but let's get right into it.
Successful they are and how intimidated men are, and they never say a word about their character. And I just can't help but think about how turned off women get when men lead with money and lead with accomplishment and end up having nothing but unavailability and coldness and lack of emotional development, because that unfortunately is what it takes to succeed in certain career fields. You can look it up. And for some,
I want to stop right here. And reason being is because in the initial, which it looks like there's a piece that wasn't there, the woman was explaining to or asking him specifically, Mr. Trip Fontaine, he was asking him about why does it appear that men are intimidated of women who have their stuff in order or who have their affairs in order. You know, they're successful at their careers, you know, they're doing big things, credit is good, finances are well intact. And it's a popular myth that many men look at women who out earn them or who are more educated than that the reason that they have difficulties communicating is because men are intimidated. And he was doing a good job of breaking down this myth. And I really want you guys to pay attention because he's speaking from both sides, although he was talking directly to this one.
for some reason, women think that the success that they've amassed has somehow happened without them becoming devoid of a lot of the personality and relationships that men are devoid of. And they flex their accomplishments and money the same way men do. And somehow, we make it different every time. Every time. No disrespect to you, but you didn't say about being a good woman. Nothing.
Why
You didn't
would
say
she?
no.
I'm just
Fuck
gonna.
all that, bro. Didn't say nothing
I
about.
can tell you
Why
why.
would she say?
Let him finish.
This is about a larger point. This is not about her as an individual. We don't hear I'm successful, I got my degree, and I've been in therapy the last 3 years working out my issues. I just bought a house, and I also identified my childhood trauma, and it took inventory over my baggage, and I got it out the way. Oh, also.
I'll stop right there. Did you guys hear what he said? When you lead with nothing more than your accomplishments, but you can't break into the work that you've done, how you've put yourself together, not just in a financial sense, but as far as the things that you've experienced, the baggage that came along from previous relationships, mommy and daddy issues, how you were treated growing up, where you ranked as far as your social strata early on, the stigmas that came along with certain things that you did or certain things that you were a part of or certain things that you felt excluded from. There's so much more to dealing with other people in any capacity, but especially in a romantic capacity, because what I make is only a portion of what I have to offer. If I have money, but I'm incapable of connecting with you on an emotional sense, incapable of having conversations with you, I have to find different ways to try to mask my love, or I have to buy things because I can't communicate with you orally, and I don't understand what you're saying when you're telling me that you need more time, more time, more time. Some people are driven by success because that success is actually a mask for what they lack in other areas of their lives. So they try to find fulfillment in tangible things. Let me go and work my way up the ladder. Let me start a business. Let me become this thing because this thing can offer me a momentary level of happiness. I can acquire all the things I want. I can have the experience, the life that I want. But that doesn't necessarily translate as I can have the life with whom I want. And one of the issues that is very well spoken on a lot of the times is that when it comes to women and the way that they see money, is that they oftentimes see money as if she earns more than her man, that makes her the breadwinner, that makes her the head of the household, because her mind is predicated to believing that money is the marker by which defines the leader. But there's so many other factors to that. And unfortunately, because of the way that a lot of people are taught, they don't understand that a man has so many more pieces to him than what he makes or what he earns. So if his financial earning power is the 65, 70, 80% mark about what you judge him, you really misunderstand and misrepresent what it's like to be in the shoes of a man. You should really go to a man that you respect and ask about those other layers. And if it literally is just about money, success, climbing the ladder, that man might not necessarily be the one that you should be getting advice from. Just saying. But let's continue.
Also, I'm loyal. My time management is on point. I do what I say I'm going to do. I'm considerate. We never hear any of it. What I hear is when say that y'all act like, when men say that y'all have turned into alphas, what we're talking about is the worst parts of manhood. Y'all have taken it on. Now, the problem with men is that we won't admit that those are the worst parts of us too. But shorty, y'all have taken the worst parts of what it means to be successful, and y'all wear that like a badge. Look at what it's done to us. If you need an example of what it looks like to only live in your accomplishments, look at the black men around you. You in a city full of them. Look at how devoid they are. Look at what it took them to get to where they are. Look at how underdeveloped some of them are emotionally. This is what you want? Is this what we going?
Let's stop here because we're almost at the end. He said a lot. He said a lot. I mean, there's so many layers to unpack. It's unbelievable. But one of the important things that he said is you take on the worst characteristics of a man. What did he mean by that? When you're goal oriented and you're focused on trying to move yourself up the ladder, you have to sacrifice so many other things for your success. Sometimes you sacrifice friends, family, loved ones, good experiences, growing with your children, raising your children if you have children prior to this, even foregoing having children and starting a family in order to accomplish success. Now, that's not saying that you're unsuccessful elsewhere, but We sometimes look at things as if, why is it being, when did being mom and wife become a demonic term that going outside to go and try to find definition for myself somehow is necessary? That the pat on my back that my boss gives me for a job well done versus the pat on my back that my husband gives me for a job well done. Why do these things have different values? Well, I couldn't tell you. There's a lot of history and people will give you all these different narratives, but let's stick with this. When you look at a man and you start asking yourself about a man's drive, what motivates him, what's never asked is what all did he have to lose to get there? So, as a woman who takes on the alpha role or who adopts alpha-esque mentality, ask yourself, what have you lost, or what did you have to give up, or what did you have to sacrifice to get where you got? And for the older ones, if you ever get a chance to ask those that are older, ask them, was it worth it? And look at them. Examine their body language as they explain to you and see if they give you an honest answer about how it feels to be at the top of the food chain in 50 with all the things that you could have ever wanted and nobody to share them with. And again, this isn't all. This is some. There's a lot of men who are extremely ignorant as well when it comes down to prioritizing success, because that money doesn't necessarily mean you're going to attract something of quality. It just means that you're going to attract something that wants money. Generally, when you prioritize things, you tend to attract those things that you value. So if money is your God, then you're going to attract somebody who is the balance of that. Not necessarily that they're good at earning it, but they're good at spending it. And once you get to a place to where you're, anyway, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole today. But as far as concerned with what was said in this clip that I played for you guys, there's one part else that I wanted to go back. And I just wanted to go back to this specific spot. Y'all don't mind me going back. It's just, it's pieces to this, it's layers to this that I just think that if we really took time to understand and we listened with the intent to understand rather than listening with the intent to respond, you would hear people who are telling you that what you're trying to go after isn't always, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. Let's just put it like that.
To only live in your accomplishments. Look at the black men around you. You in a city full of them. Look at how devoid they are. Look at what it took them to get to where they are. Look at how underdeveloped some of them are emotionally. This is what you want? Is this what we're going to do, to let accomplishments be band-aids for that?
So right there, how underdeveloped and devoid. Have you ever had a conversation? I'm giving this to anybody who's listening to this. Have you ever had a conversation with somebody who they had all the glitz and glam, but they were void of personality? They had nothing of value to talk about but their money, but their accomplishments, but what they did for the job. Have you ever been in a, do you know how, have you ever just had the air sucked out of the room by somebody who all they had to talk about was the business, the job, what they do to earn money, how much money they make this go around, how much money they stand to make? Everything was just money, 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 money. It's just have you ever just been with somebody who they can't give you any perspective outside of this one thing that they value the most? It talks about cars, vacations, trips, all these different, everything that's revolving around this linear life. And then you look at them, you ask them a question and say, so what are your goals outside of career? Or what other things do you want? What are your thoughts about family? What are your thoughts about raising children? You ever asked people questions and you've seen that they literally had nothing to provide in that area because they've been so one track minded that they have absolutely no concept, no idea of a life outside of this one thing that they do well? That's what a lot of us experience today talking to young women. That's what a lot of the experience is that everything is focused on the bag. Everything is focused on what possessions that you have and what possessions they can acquire from dealing with you. Now, again, it's content galore. I don't directly have experience in these situations, but I know a lot of people who do. I talk to a lot of people who do on a regular basis. And what's being said here and what's being said elsewhere is not so far fetched. Men oftentimes are not intimidated by a woman's success. There's an imbalance in understanding that a woman's success financially does not translate as her being a quality mate. No man who gets up and works hard every day, regardless of what he does or regardless of the income, the amount of income that he brings in, no man wants to have it thrown into his face that his woman makes more than him. And again, it's not what the people outside of the house are doing, it's what the woman directly is doing to him. Comparing him and contrasting him, belittling him, speaking down to him, not speaking life into him. And in her mind, it's motivating him. And in some cases, it may, but just like any boiling pot of water, if the fire is too hot, it's going to spill over and put the flame out. You have to understand something, that there's no one size fits all answer to how men and women operate. But there are some things that are understandably true. Number one is that no two men and no two women are alike. So your experiences with me will be vastly different than your experience with somebody else. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes. It doesn't matter how similar we are, it'll never be the same. Number two is that manhood, or the things that traditionally made men appear like men in the eyes of the world, have been demonized when men do it, but praised when women do it. And this is why there's such a big issue with what they call the modern woman behavior. That the goalposts can get moved in this experience. And again, this is by no means to try to dispel women's experiences in modern day in the last 40, 50, 60 years. It's just the fact that there's parts of the argument that oftentimes are overlooked because we are married to our individualized positions. And when you're married to a position, it's like a closed fist. Nothing comes in, nothing gets out. So there's no room for growth, no room for understanding. Last point that I want to bring up is that for that man on that stage, which caters traditionally to a woman audience, to speak up the way that he did, it could have been social media personality suicide for him to say the things that he said. And he, in my opinion, eloquently explained an extremely complex thing in some of the best words that I've ever heard a man say. And I definitely want to tilt my hat to him. But if you listen to what he said, he explained to you that the very things that we would associate with toxic masculinity, a lot of our own women have adopted those toxic behaviors, yet don't recognize them as toxic behaviors. And that's problematic. But it's also an opportunity for men to look and say, wow, that's me. That's how I treat. I don't like that behavior, but do I possess that behavior? Do I embody that behavior? There's opportunities there for everybody to learn just a little bit if they actually listen for the sake of understanding and not just for responding. Anyway, that's my time, guys. Glad you guys tuned in with me. Thank you for spending this last however many minutes that we recorded. You guys have questions, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you guys tune in the channel. Peace.